Friends, how are you doing? I am back talking about BigBear, Richtech, Robotics. This market right now, we have got a fight going on. There is a massive fight in the market. There's always politics involved, but too, we've got the government shutdown still. Is that going to be wrapped up tomorrow? Well, today is the 15th, but tomorrow's the 16th, and this is going kind of I say that because a lot of people thought the 15th, there's no way it can go past the 15th. Well, 15th has come and gone here, and we're still going. So with that, what we know right now is that Jerome Powell talked yesterday, and essentially he gave more clues, is saying like, hey, this next rate cut more than likely is coming here. And he said we don't even know what some of these, what were the job reports in September? What are some of these reports? Even today on the 15th, we were supposed to get some inflation reports. We're not getting them because the government shutdown here. So this is all leading to this end of the month here where we're going to be massively deep in quarterlies. We're going to see potentially a rate cut. And right now, it's just this stable position where the market's like, like I said yesterday, it's a dog that's just wagging its tail and it just wants to run. The market's looking for any excuse just to run. Right now, we've had 2 days of our big banks, essentially the banks that control the world here, they have released their quarterlies, and they've been good. They have been good, which is very positive, and the market's liking it. Gold is hitting another all-time high, and two, with these banks reporting these quarterlies that are pretty aggressive. And obviously, of course, there was bears against this, like this is going to be the banks fall. They don't make quarterlies this week. This will be the start of the end. Well, here we go again. And, we're seeing quarterlies rise once again. Even the banks this week are, rising with quarterlies. And tomorrow, the 16th, we've got, another cluster of companies. Obviously, TSM is going to be one of the biggest ones we're looking at right now, the chip maker. This is a moment right now where the market is showing signs of, okay, this third quarterly, this is going to be another just push in the market. So this is why I somewhat think, and maybe I'm wrong here. Not that I have I'm nothing special about me, but trying to, for my own sake, as where I can go in the market, here personally, I'm looking and I'm going, what is the market doing here? I think the market is going to push heavy at the end of October here because we're going to be deep in the quarterlies, great quarterlies with a lot of great companies that everyone's looking at. The rate cut looks like it's coming regardless, government open or shut. Doesn't really matter. It's probably going to happen. The Feds will meet regardless at the end of the month. So that is why I'm pretty bullish, at least right now, for the end of the year, the end of October being one last, from what we can see right now with the breadcrumbs, one last massive run in the market here. Especially if you're swing trading right now, you're trying to really set up something for, what's coming here. I think the end of October may be looking pretty good here. But obviously, too, news is news and bad news is bad news. And, we'll see what happens. But friends, let's get into it. I talk about Richtech and BigBear because I think these stocks 100% are still, they're going to continue the rest of the year grabbing people's attention because there's a lot of news around them. BigBear especially, has had a fantastic year. I think BigBear undoubtedly is pushing into a double-digit number. It is looking for $10. I'll just say it. I don't know that they're going to make quarterlies, but even if they don't, I think that is still okay. But I think saying that's okay, obviously two things need to happen right there. And we'll talk about BigBear real fast. BigBear pushing into this 8, 9, trying to get to $10. We just didn't make it yesterday. And today, today alone was just kind of a sell-off day. I thought today was, a day of buying. If people are trying, if you're trying to get into it, it's middle of the week. We'll see what happens here. And we saw some sell-off today. But BigBear, let's say BigBear doesn't hit this next quarterly, at least coming close and better than Q2 is going to do wonders for the stock, okay, for the share price. And two, they've acquired so many deals here lately. At some point, even if it's Q4, Q1 of next year, BigBear is going to start to show an uptick in quarterlies. And the big thing is can Big Bear get back to this $40+ million range on quarterlies? I think that's obviously possible, and I do think that Big Bear is pushing into where the market is going more. I don't necessarily think that if there is a collapse with an AI bubble here, and whatever that means, whatever that looks like, to everyone's got their theories about what that means here, and obviously just the collapse of, we start to see money run out of a lot of these AI stocks, raking in just crazy quarterlies right now. But right now we're not seeing that, and obviously these next 2-3 weeks are really going to be, they're really going to set the tone for what's coming the rest of the year. So Big Bear here is still in this place of growth, okay? And, let's say January till June, was a great moments in there with Big Bear. A lot of deals in there, a lot of things happening. Q2 comes out, major collapse, quarterlies are worse than we kind of expected. Almost like shockingly bad. Okay. Yeah. And even at that point, I don't know who else was saying it, but, I was saying it. I was like, I just don't think they're going to hit these quarterlies. They didn't. And that's why I warn people, sell out before these take some profit. Make sure you don't get yourself stuck in this situation that could last a little bit here. And it did. It lasted a little bit, because after that quarterly, we had sell off, and then Big Bear, people were just sick of it. They were disgusted. And, of course, I was getting it in the comments. I was getting ripped apart. I mean, people were like, why are you still talking about this company? And that's the thing right now, that why me especially, or you staying in this company, it's because it's still getting very attractive deals. Big Bear is still part of, and two, I think, the airline deals are great with Big Bear, but two, it's these defense deals that are so juicy right now. Looking at this candlestick chart right now with Big Bear, there's definitely this new heel that's been made here, and Richtech has done this too, but there's this heel right now that's been made around this $7-8 position, and Big Bear undoubtedly is looking to move into a double-digit number. We've seen Big Bear in a double-digit number. It's nothing completely new to us, but even the fact that the sell-off today, in Big Bear ended the day at this 852 mark, that's incredible. That's incredible. That Big Bear is $8.52. This is a stock 40 days ago, the beginning of September. Not even that, I don't know, like in the middle of September, you could have bought this for $6. Is now at almost $9, looking for $10 here. So this is amazing. That's a huge run up. That is a huge run, and that's the thing. Big Bear right now is primed and pumped and ready. If we see one more deal here, especially before this quarterly that's coming out, this thing is going to really push into $10 easily. And it's not like I'm saying something special. I think everyone knows that. If you've been here with Big Bear, we get one more piece of good news. This thing is taking off, okay? I think it's going to be a little bit of a soundhound. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for Big Bear here, is that what we saw soundhound do here in 2025, we can see Big Bear doing 2026, okay? Or maybe Big Bear's 2025 will be 2026, essentially, with what we just saw with Soundhound. Because Soundhound, last year Soundhound was a lot of what we saw kind of a little bit with Big Bear. People just didn't trust it. People are like, this stock's never going to hit quarterlies. It's a waste of your time. It's going to run out of money. Well, Soundhound has completely defined odds, gravity, what you want to call it, and it has blown up into this over $20 stock and killing quarterlies right now. So and that's one of the best stocks I've ever called in my life. I was well expecting that to be a $18 stock, but it is really climbing. And obviously too, we're in this bubble of AI. And not to say that negatively, but AI stocks that have any reason to run and do well are going to do well. And Soundhound is in that 100%. It is popular. It is prom queen, prom king, queen, whatever. It is doing very well. It's very popular right now. But Big Bear here, I do think that Big Bear will get its moment more of what could be here. In 2026 may be that year. This has been a great year. This has been a great year for Big Bear. The stock price, I talk about this a lot, but essentially this is like the third big run right now with Big Bear. Okay, if you've been swing trading Big Bear this year, you've had 3 moments of huge push in this stock right now. You've had February, then obviously February really was a rough month too, because that's when the market collapsed, and then we had just kind of the V-shaped recovery start its tick up, and then at the beginning of the summer, Big Bear deals, news, all that started to tick up again. Okay, we had that push. Q2 came out, crashed. Now we're back up in this third run. So this run, though, this is the best run we've seen with Big Bear. Okay, and this is really, really solid, sturdy concrete floor that we find ourselves on right now with Big Bear. So Big Bear is slowly pushing up into this, high $8 range, trying to get to this $9.40, $9.50 range. And, if we can see another good day in the market here, if the market can find an excuse to do another run just this week alone, Big Bear's going to go along with the market and it's going to push. So I think that's definitely still possible. Now, 2, this doesn't protect us from moments of like, hey, Trump just set out a tweet and he just crashed the market. There are those moments that we just have to deal with. Okay. And that's really why I see this comment all the time. People are like, why don't you talk about option trading anymore? I don't talk about option trading because I don't want to mess with anyone's mind in that. Okay. If you're doing option trading on any stock, especially Big Bear, anything, I don't want to, I don't want to set you down a wrong road. You need to do what you want to do with that. Option trading is very lucrative. It's also very dangerous if you don't play it right. And what we saw with the market last Friday, with Trump just setting out that tweet and collapsing the stock market, the crypto market, there was a lot of, I have a couple of friends that I contacted that day and I was like, how's it going? And even some things I was doing, I was like, okay, but that's why I don't want to be whispering in people's ear. Now, when we talk about long-term trading, deals that are happening, even swing trades, and that's kind of what I'm talking about a little bit with Big Bear right now. I do think even Richtech here, I think these are key moments that we're going into here with both these companies where this is a very solid ground for a swing trade, by the end of October, especially with Big Bear releasing quarterlies, that we just don't know that they're going to hit. So more than likely, there will be a huge push with Big Bear leading up to quarterlies, just like we've seen in the past, just like stocks do, okay? But I would highly expect, especially if Big Bear does not hit this quarterly, it will sell off, definitely. But too, with that, if Big Bear can get some more deals here, this is really going to hold probably this $7, $8 position, depending on what Big Bear can make its way into here in the next 3 weeks, essentially. Not even 3, 2 and some change here. I'm really encouraged right now with what's going on with the overall stock market. This is great. Like Friday, people were like, oh my God, this is it. The Titanic is sinking here. In Friday, that's why, I told people, I think I said that on, the secondary channel, I was like, I bought today. I bought because we've seen that before. We've seen these moments in the market where something gets said, something happens, and the market just goes, it collapses. The market is very delicate right now. It's so delicate. It's delicate because there's so many cycles of different tentacles that the market is holding, it's trying to hold on to. And if one of those gets, if the tentacles gets hit off for a moment, the market goes, ah! So, this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with things, Trump holding his phone and tweeting. We're dealing with, wars over here. We're dealing with that. We're dealing with Jerome Powell saying something and, yeah. Now we're going through the quarterly thing, and are we going to start to see quarterlies do well? And so these are just things we're dealing with right now with the market right now. So, and two, the market's at an all-time high. So the market's like, this is very unknown ground. Can we keep this? Is this stable enough? And two, we're trying to get as much of these quarterlies up and going, and really see what they're offering here. So, yeah, I mean, you're gonna have these moments of kickback right now. Just absolutely, the market's never been here before. This is very unknown ground for the market. I mean, from me with a little bit of YouTube channel here to like Jamie Dimon saying like, yeah, I mean, things are high. We're watching. I mean, even Jamie Dimon doesn't really know what to say. He's like, we're gonna see what happens. No one really knows, but we're all watching, and this is why quarterlies right now are so important, and the bank stocks are doing well, knock on wood, right now. Okay, so Richtech, I mean, look at this right here with Richtech. This, I know I talked about Big Bear, getting to this place, and pretty much, the word is consolidating here. But Richtech, this is very interesting. Richtech is refusing to let go really of this high $5-6 position. And this is very, very interesting. So Richtech today, had obviously yesterday was a really good day with Richtech, the 14th, but today the 15th, it started pretty good, and even pre-market was the best here with Richtech. Richtech was really pushing into $7 here pre-market. I mean, it was rolling, and it seemed like we were going to have a pretty good day, but then the market just kind of did what it did, and it sold off here. People started to take profit. You can't knock people for taking profit, but then at the end of the day, Richtech regained here and found itself back up in this 620 range here. And, even after hours pushing back up into high, 620 zone here, playing around there. So, this is a moment right now where Richtech is trying to consolidate and capture new ground right now. And like I said, with Big Bear, if you're looking to swing trade, Richtech has a little more, I would highly be suspicious that Richtech could almost do better numbers than Big Bear. And I will explain why. In the short term right now, just from what evidence we could see. Like I said, Richtech is going to be at this convention. Richtech is going to be at this convention here at the end of October. We know the market should be doing pretty well here at the end of October. As long as we get the rate cuts, quarterlies continue to do well here. Richtech could just be pushing with the overall hype of the market. Okay, good, great. This convention that Richtech is going to be at, I don't know exactly what will be released, what will be said. Maybe nothing. We've seen these kind of things happen with stocks before, and sometimes they're really good, sometimes nothing comes out of it. And it's like, did that happen yet? But with that, one thing that I'm confident about is that Richtech here is keeping support right now. It's keeping this $6 position. And two, we saw a lot of this road here, or this repeat of this road here last, week and the week before with Big Bear, where Big Bear was pushing into the $6 range, fighting up into a low 7, and then finally breaking into 7. And now, Big Bear's in this, high 7, trying to get into a $9 range here. The 7 is now the new on sale, get it while you can moment. So Richtech here is obviously in this third phase of, the next phase will essentially, if it can get there, it will be this $8, $9, $10 range, much like what Big Bear is going through right now. So obviously, if the market continues to push here, which, like I said, the market is looking for every excuse right now to push. It is looking for every excuse. These could be the next levels sooner than we think here with Richtech. And I'm going to be honest with you, I am relying on those. I am going to swing trade a huge portion of Richtech. I bought back, I don't know if I said this publicly, but weeks so ago, I sold a large portion of Richtech, swinged it, I swing traded it, and I waited, and now I bought back in under 6, and guess what? I'm definitely going to swing trade this one again when we get into this next phase. In the next phase, I think probably will be this $8, $9, $10 range. 10 obviously would be like, the gift from the gods. But that's kind of where I think what it's trying to do here. That's what it looks like, what we're trying to get to here. This consolidation right here at this high $5-6 range is so good. This is so good right now. So friends, yeah, I mean, what more can I say? I think we're all seeing the same thing here. We're seeing and saying the same thing here. We'll see what we deal with Thursday earnings. That's going to be a big thing. In the 17th Friday, obviously American Express is, in SLB, reporting earnings, but it's going to be another 2 days of good earnings, and the market is going to be, like I said, looking for every excuse to go, okay. So yeah, we'll see what happens, friends. I wish all you the best of luck. I really do mean that, and I will talk to you very soon. Take care of yourself, everyone. Bye-bye.